Hi everyone, Chris here, and welcome to a camera comparison between the Pixel 8 Pro and the Galaxy S23 Ultra, and finally the iPhone 15 Pro Max. So with the front-facing cameras right now, I'm shooting in 4K, 30 frames per second. All three have electronic image stabilization. I'm swapping over the audio sources so we can listen to which one has the best microphones. And right now there is no wind, so there shouldn't be any wind noise coming through on any of these phones. So I have at the moment all of the phones, of course, on the latest firmware, and I just wanted to point out that I'm not part of Team Pixel, iPhone or Samsung or anything like that. I bought all three of these phones with my own money. Zoom cameras now pointing at the Castle of Denia. So I'm trying not to shake around. I'm holding the phones steady, but now I am going to walk just a little bit, which you really should not do if you're using the zoom cameras. So which one do you think is the steadiest? I mean, looking on the screens here, it does seem to me it's the Galaxy S23 Ultra that is shaking around the most there. And the other two with the 5x optical and then the 10x optical, of course, with the Samsung is going to get us in quite a bit closer. Main cameras now, 4K 30 frames per second. We have a bit more of a crop, I think, yes, definitely with the Pixel 8 Pro. Now, the main cameras have optical and electronic image stabilization. I'm going to jog down these stairs here and hopefully not fall flat on my face. Would not be good, but it could make a good bloopers reel. So panning around, hopefully we're not going to see any judders at all, any jitter coming through. Shouldn't happen, not at this level, not with flagship phones. I've swapped over now to our ultra-wide cameras, still 4K 30 frames per second. So all three are using electronic image stabilization only with their ultra-wide cameras. Which do you think looks the best? Panning around again. All three do seem steady and should not be dropping any frames. 4K 60 now, this should look a lot smoother than 30 frames per second, and I have, yes, encoded this video at 60 frames per second and uploaded it, so you should be able to see the difference from the footage that's only 30 frames per second. As I pan around, it should be a lot smoother. And just a bit of a jog, testing out the stabilization. Which one do you think is the best out of these phones? So same test again. This time I've got 8K 30 frames per second with the Galaxy S23 Ultra. It is the only phone here that can shoot in 8K, so it gives it a bit of an advantage when it comes to the resolution captured. It should look a bit sharper, even scaled down to 4K. Now onto low light video. So with the front facing cameras, these little sensors are really struggling with these conditions. Now you see a bit of a bluish tint on me. That's because those street lights, one side of them is yellow, the other side is blue. Not great, but I mean, that's just what it is out where I am at the moment. Electronic image stabilization across all three. But the front-facing cameras here seems to look similar. Which one do you think is the best here for the front-facing cameras in low light? You can tell that the electronic image stabilization is not quite as good as it is compared to daytime. You can see a bit of the jarring coming through as I walk along. Now that light that's in the distance there, La Posada del Mar, that should be blue, and it puts a bit of a bluish color on the road too as well. Now with all of these phones, I can swap over to the ultra-wides now, which is what I'm doing. Which one do you think has the best low light video quality? Over to stills now. So I have all the cameras set on their default out-of-the-box settings to make it fair. Now I think here, it's personal preference of course, that the S23 Ultra does look the best. The colors, the contrast, the stitching across all three is good. Don't like the pixel shot. It's too contrasty, too dark. It looks like I haven't brushed my teeth for 3 years. My mouth's all dark for some reason. My eyes look too dark as well. Main cameras now, portrait. So straight off, I think the iPhone's got the colors here far too warm. This is a common trait of the iPhone. The Pixel's colors are good, but a little too cool. I do prefer here the S23 Ultra. It's a little softer, but there's a bit of over sharpening going on, definitely with the Pixel and the iPhone. The iPhone's sharpening and over-processing also makes my daughter's lips look almost dry, which they weren't. For this difficult shot, which is sunrise, I decided to use twice their optical zoom. So that's 10 times zoom for the iPhone and the Pixel, and 20 times for the S23 Ultra. The S23 Ultra got a lot of noise to this 10 megapixel camera. I don't particularly like the sensor. It is very noisy. I think the Pixel here has the best image, with the iPhone being second and a little too dark. Zoom cameras once again, but at their optical zoom maximum. Now this photo, you can see that there's more details, you're in closer with the S23 Ultra. It easily takes the win here in these kind of lighting conditions. Now the two others aren't too bad. I would rate the iPhone as the second place and the Pixel third place. Back to the main cameras, and you're going to see a lot of this happening. 2023 seems to be the year of over-processing, over-sharpening. So if you don't crop in, the photo might look fine. So good for social media. But once I crop in 200% right now, you can see that the Pixel and the Galaxy over-sharpened. They've overdone it. I think the best shot here is from the iPhone. Ultra-wide, so I think the Samsung has the best colors with this particular shot. Now, it is a little over-sharpened, both the Pixel and the Galaxy. The iPhone, I think, has the best balance there with the sharpness and not being overdone. But due to the colors and the way it's exposed, I give the Samsung the win here. Main cameras again, with the default settings, the Samsung, if you look now, just without cropping in, it looks like a pleasant photo. Great for social media, great if you don't want to crop in at all. But as soon as I crop in, you can see how over-sharpened this really is from Samsung. The iPhone, for me, is the best shot here, and the iPhone colors turned out to be the closest to true to life. Main cameras again, and this is a very difficult shot. Bright flowers phones will struggle with. Now the Pixel here, I think, has absolutely nailed this one. The iPhone, it's overblown. There's a lot of clipping going on, oversaturated. The Samsung just does not get the colors correct, and there's a bit of clipping going on too as well. So the Pixel shot leagues ahead. Well done, Google. Another flower, but this time it is the macro mode with the phones, and I think again it is the Pixel that pulls ahead because the colors are more correct. The S23 Ultra is not bad at all with the colors, but it overdoes the yellows there. You can see with that pollen, it's too strong. The iPhone is a little oversaturated here, and I don't like all that noise in the background. So to me here with this shot, it's the Pixel that takes it. Back to this scene again, but this time it is the ultra-wide cameras, and at first glance, again, it's going to look good across all three. Now, the more correct colors are the iPhone here, even though, yes, with portraits, they're too warm, but they get the colors here good. But when you crop in, this is 200% now. Look at that over-sharpening coming from the Pixel, coming from the Galaxy. Not good at all. I don't like this trend. They're just over-sharpening. If you ever want to crop in, well, those photos are not going to look good. But for social media, sure, they're going to be fine. Now on to low light photos, of course things are a lot more difficult. Now all three of them do look very good. The more correct colors I will say is probably again the iPhone. Now when you zoom in, you'll see that the Pixel's looking a little soft here. It doesn't look quite as good as the S23 Ultra, but the S23 Ultra does have a little bit of noise in the sky. I like the way the sky is handled, and the overall image I think here is the best with the iPhone. Main cameras still, and this photo, again, at first glance, they all look very good for low light, but look at the sky. I like the way the sky is handled the best on the iPhone, but when you start to crop in now, this is again 200%, you'll notice that the Galaxy has quite a bit of noise. Look at the white car, there's a lot of noise there. I think overall, taking a look at the details, things that are captured inside that restaurant there, the sign, it's the Pixel that pulls ahead slightly, with the iPhone second and the Galaxy S23 in last place. Now with this shot here, it's just got so much going on, but focus first on the sky. Take a look at the Galaxy and the iPhone. There's a bit of noise going on. The sky's captured the best with the Pixel. In fact, the whole image is captured better. Now when I crop in, this is 200%. It's got a better exposure of all those different colors and everything that's going on inside that kiosk there. There is a lot there to take in, but if you hit pause, look at them closer, you'll see that both the Galaxy and the iPhone are overexposing a little bit in some areas. The best balance and the overall better image is, yes, the Pixel with this shot. Ultra wides, well, they don't look good across all three in low light. It's the wrong kind of aperture really for these lenses. They should be just for daylight, not really for low light conditions.
But I have to pick a winner. Now you can see when I crop in that the Galaxy S23 Ultra looks terrible. It is the Pixel that has the slightly better image. It's a little blurred. It's not that good. And the iPhone in second place, but definitely last place is the Samsung. And no, I didn't sneeze. That's just how it happened to come out. Now with this low light shot, it's difficult to pick a winner. Now the La Posada del Mar hotel, that sign with the blue, does look the best, exposed the best with the S23 Ultra. It's not clipping, it's not overblowing it. But when you look in the interior here now, when I crop in at 200%, the lamp and the interior is overexposed and does not look the best with the S23 Ultra. The Pixel 8 Pro does an overall good job of the neon sign, the interior, the capturing that lamp, and that's the winner for me. Only just though, just. Second place is the iPhone, and of course, last place, because of the interior, the way it's captured, the S23 Ultra. And finally, for our stills, this is now the optical cameras across all three at their maximum optical zoom without touching digital. I wouldn't do it with low light. You can see for me that it's the Pixel. It's miles ahead of the Samsung. Now the Samsung's just got so much noise and grain to it. It's terrible. I would not use that camera in low light conditions. So if you take a lot of low light zoom shots, I would probably go with the Pixel. You can see it's got less noise than the iPhone, and a clear winner here for optical zoom cameras. Okay, recapping here my findings. For low light performance in general, it is the Pixel. That's the new champ, I believe, for low light photography. Even better than a Mate 60 Pro or the Mate 50 Pro, at least the one I've tested out. So then daytime shots, I would have to give that one to the iPhone. I think the Samsung with the ultrawide, especially in the main camera, would over-sharpen a lot. The Pixel 2, a little bit over-processed, a little over-sharpened, especially if you happen to crop in. But if you take a lot of photos that are macro shots or photos of very bright flowers, and it handled those colors really well, the Pixel just dominated here, pretty much destroying the iPhone and the Samsung. Now, video performance, that one for me was a clear winner, that it was the iPhone. Smoother footage, less drop frames. I noticed the Pixel's just too contrasty, too dark, some drop frames, issues with the stabilization, not looking good at all. Pixel video for me, I think, was terrible for a flagship. And then portrait photos. The best, I would say, is the Samsung. I liked the skin tones a little bit better. The white balance was slightly better. The Pixel, a bit of over-sharpening going on. The Samsung stitching was not the best, but overall, it had the more pleasant photos, if a little bit softer. The iPhone photos were too warm with selfies and portraits, and a little bit too much over-sharpening again. I don't like this trend of the over-sharpening. Audio quality with video, I think it was between the Pixel and the Samsung. The Samsung had a slight edge. The worst audio happened to be that iPhone. The microphone's terrible, especially if there's a little bit of breeze or wind around. So do you agree with my findings here? If you do, let me know in the comments. If you disagree, let me know as well where I was wrong. And I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give a thumbs up. And thank you so much for watching.